Hey guys, everybody, what's going on? We're doing a Termina weapon tier list today. How's that? Is that a good YouTuber voice? Fuck you, YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Today I'm going to show off my forehead. You'll never guess what it actually says. Yeah, so it's not a character tier list. I've already done a character tier list. That was a lot of fun. We're doing a weapon tier list today. Okay, so the way I'm going to do it is I'm not just going to go based on stats, right? Some of these weapons are so difficult to get that even though they have fantastic stats, it's sort of pointless, right? So I'm going to weigh up the stats, how hard it is to get, and if it's two-handed, because then some characters can't even use it, just all that sort of stuff. So we'll start off with the knife though, because everybody starts off with the knife. Yeah, so we'll start with knife because everybody starts with knife. Here we go, S tier, clean S tier. Can't deny. No. It's objectively the worst in the game, and that's okay. We need a baseline, don't we? As soon as you can, change to anything else. Just except guns. Guns are special, but if you get another melee weapon, just change it. Just get rid of it. Blood sword. So this is from the ability blood sword that you get from the Allmere skill tree, right? So, and it's single-handed, and it is quite nice. It has pretty good attack, and it deals otherworldly damage, which is okay. Just the amount of investment you need for it, because you need to get using Allmere is sort of using his sigil is kind of pointless, and his spells aren't amazing. And to actually invest to get this, it's like, I don't know. I don't think it's entirely worth it. So I'm going to put in B tier for that. What's next? Axe. So axe, I personally love the axe. You can get it really early from the woodsman. It's got decent attack. It'll last you for a little while before you get anything better. For a guaranteed early game weapon, it beats everything else. Unless, some characters can start with better stuff, that sort of thing, right? But for, just across the board, the axe is really solid, has nice damage. I'm actually, I might put it in high B tier. I'll put it in high B tier, I reckon. You do inevitably change it out. If you take it to an ending, you sort of fucked up. But I think it's a very solid, very, very happy with it. But it is just not that special in the long run. Bayonet, I hate bayonet. Having a rifle is nice, but you can get guaranteed rifles anyway, and then you've just got a weak two-handed weapon. Hang on, let me look. It actually does some nice damage, but it is two-handed, and there are better two-handed weapons you can get. So there's a guaranteed better two-handed weapon you can get later on anyway. And this is entirely RNG and whether you get it. I don't think there's anywhere it's guaranteed to drop the bayonet. Like early to mid game, this would be okay, but the moment you hit late game, you can get a guaranteed claymore, which is just one of the better two-handed weapons you can get. Guaranteed, right? So it's sort of like there's just not much point to it, I think. What's next? What do we got? Black steel. Let's go. Black steel. Fantastic. I'm gonna put this in. It's not top of S tier, but it is a fantastic weapon. The only issue is it can be a bit annoying to fight Moonless, but other than that, that might be the easiest S tier weapon. So, and it's one-handed, so everyone can use it. It's got ridiculously high attack. And it has I think it's the biggest crit rate, the highest crit rate. You stack that with Yigegetsu Amulet, and you get over 50% crit rate, which is just fucking ridiculous, right? The only issue with this is when you get mind controlled when fighting the snail fathers underneath the church. You will one-hit party members if the person with black steel gets mind controlled, and it crits. It's almost a guaranteed kill. Sword chats can't stop winning. Okay, so Sabbath. Look. I'm going to say Sabbath is probably, I'm going to say C tier. Because it's a Venushka weapon, you need to use a Venushka symbol in the Allmere Church to get it. It means you're not using any of the other sigils, so you're not using Sylvian for a free heal, you're not using Rare to get in and then, do that special fight. You're not using Grogaroth for a sacrifice, right? So it's sort of like a trade-off. It has a little bit higher crit rate. It's got 20%. A lot of these weapons have 20%. I think the better tier of weapons have 20% crit rate, right? Has a little bit higher hit rate as well. But its attack is only 38, and it's that's not really a big enough deal to warrant using a Venushka sigil. I've just never found it worth using, to be honest. It looks cool, and having guaranteed otherworldly damage on an otherwise mundane party would be nice. Magic damage isn't really mandatory. I don't think there's enough enemies to really warrant using it. I don't know. It's not worth it. It's just simply not worth it. Greatsword is one of the better two-handed weapons. I wouldn't say the best. I'm going to put it high B tier. Just because the two-handed brings it down, and the relatively low damage for a two-handed weapon is just not worth it. It's good if you just need something, but there's better things you can get. and if you lose an arm, then it's GG. Actually, that's something to mention about Bayonet too. Is if one of the characters loses an arm, then they can't use it. So it doesn't matter how good it is, right? All characters except Osaka can hold guns, but because this is considered a two-handed weapon, all the characters that can't use two-handed weapons can't use the bayonet as well. So like all the girls except Abella can't use it, right? It's really not worth it. The bayonet is just really limited, right? So it doesn't matter if you can't lift it. Exactly. And that's what a lot of these weapons suffer from. It's like, if it's a two-handed weapon, then it's guaranteed half the cast can't use it. And if you lose an arm and don't have a spare Sylvian sigil around, then you're just sort of done, right? Next is the spear. It's got all the weaknesses of a two-handed weapon, and the damage is so low, you can get guaranteed weapons that are much better. Spear is only good if you get it early. Like if you're running around Old Town with it, it's pretty good. But otherwise, you get way better stuff. The next one, Kisara, is basically a better spear in almost every single way. So this Kisara. So I'm going to put this on high. I'm going to put it here. Below the greatsword, because the greatsword does still do a lot of damage despite its drawbacks. The Kisara is one-handed, so everyone can use it. It deals pretty nice attack. It's got 35 attack. The spear has 36. But the Kisara, you can get it really early if you beat the janitor. You can get one guaranteed. After that, it's random, so that does knock it down. Actually, you know what? I might knock it down a little bit, because if you can't beat the janitor, and some characters can't beat the janitor. You know what? I'm going to bump this up a little bit, because it is really nice damage. So the RNG does bump it down a little bit. But it is very nice. If you get this early, then Old Town is a cakewalk, and it'll carry you until late game. You will definitely want to change out at late game, but then you can change out to other stuff. You've got more guaranteed stuff there. Love the Lantern Flower because it's one of my favorite weapons designs. I know, like, it looks sick, right? Lantern Flower just looks sick. The burn is nice. Every time I've gotten it though, I've had better stuff already. So that's one of the issues with the craftable weapons, is that most of the time, by the time you get them, you've got better stuff. I think all of them, no, not all of them, most of them are two-handed, which is a bit of a negative. By default, the crafted ones will go in A tier, because while they do have downsides, they are pretty good. So the Lantern Flower has pretty nice attack, right? It's got 39 attack, which is pretty good. And it's also got the nice extra chance of burn, which I think it might be the only weapon that can burn. Yeah. So that's really nice, because some enemies get absolutely dunked by burn, like logic. Status effects in Termina are just insane. And so like the only sort of downside is that the damage isn't amazing. Like it's good, like 39 attack is good. You know, you've got stuff that you can get guaranteed that's just better, right? Like, you know, like Black Steel, right? Plus it's two-handed, which is, you know, only some people can carry it then. So it does have some big downsides, not enough to bump it down lower, but it's still very solid. So if you can manage to get the recipe for it early, like if you start as a Bella or you kill a Bella early, and that is one downside to the crafted weapons. You need to kill a Bella and then invest in her soul. I think you need 3 soul stones to get weapon crafting. It might even be 4. So it is a bit of an investment to get it, and you need to be able to carry two-handed. So it's like those big limitations bump all the crafted ones down, except Meat Grinder is, I'm going to say that's low S tier as well. Just because it does have all the limitations of the other ones. Like, you know, like it's two-handed. It's got heavy investment. It's got ridiculous attack. So it's only got 35 attack, but it attacks 3 times. And it causes bleed. And I think it's guaranteed bleed, or it's like really high chance to bleed. But the problem is, you know, it's two-handed, heavy investment, and I think the recipe for the rest of the crafted stuff is like generic things that you can find everywhere, right? But the Meat Grinder requires a special item that only appears in 3 places. So you can make 3 Meat Grinders if you want, which would be pretty funny. I do want to do that in a game one time, is make 3 Meat Grinders. Because you can get one if you steal from a Bella. You can get one when you go down into Stitch's bunker, and you can get one from when you kill the mob. If you play as a Bella, you can only make 2, which is funny. But you can make 3 if you don't play as a Bella, and you get steel. And it's just ridiculous attack. It's got fantastic noises to it. It's a terrifying weapon. I love it. It does have some downsides, but it's still really good. Really good weapon. So the Mauler is pretty amazing, but it still suffers from some of those other issues, right? A big investment. Or you can get it on, I think you can get 2. You can get one on Masochism mode when you kill the Gold Brothers, and then you can get one if you get from the Radiating One shop. So that is a little bit of an investment. You can pick that up if you kill all the Rontiels while regularly running around, I believe you will get enough pearls. I think you'll get exactly 10 if you do it on all the main path rare realm. You might need to visit one more, so there's a little bit of time. Insane amount of attack, 70 attack, chance to bleed. It looks cool, but the only issue is it's two-handed, and it does take time to get. If it wasn't two-handed, it would be high S tier, but the two-handed means that half the characters can't use it, and if you lose an arm, you're fucked, right? I'll put it just below Bench Grinder, I reckon, and I think that because Bench Grinder hits 3 times, so it just sort of puts out a bit more damage, I think. So Mauler doesn't have quite as high a chance to deal status effects, so I think Bench Grinder definitely wins out there. What's next? Meat Mallet. I love the Meat Mallet, right? So this one, you can get this one guaranteed, the Meat Mallet, from a bunch of enemies in the ruins. So you can rush to the ruins, and then you can get this Meat Mallet, which deals 36 damage, and because it's blunt, it has a chance to stun whatever limit hits. So you can kit out your whole party with Meat Mallets. Like, I beat Rare with Meat Mallet and 3 zombies. And a little bit of magic. Meat Mallet is very solid. I'm going to put that on low A tier. Actually, no, I'm going to put it below the Claymore, actually. That A is too high. Really easy to get, easy to use, got the nice stun, and it can guarantee carry to endgame if you need it to. You can get better stuff, guaranteed, but the fact is, it's such a nice, easy to get, easy to use weapon, and I really like it. And the stun is just icing on the cake. So it's very nice. I'm very happy with it. So. Okay, so Pipe Wrench is not very good. If you're not a Bella, don't bother using the Pipe Wrench. It's okay, I guess, but the Mauler beats it out, and it's RNG to get it. So I'm just going to put it on low B tier because it has all the benefits of the Meat Mallet. It's RNG, and you're definitely going to get better stuff. If you're a Bella, it's fantastic because she has the wrench throw ability, but for everyone else, you've got better stuff. So don't worry about it. If you find it very early, then it's really nice, but you're going to be replacing it almost straight away. So it's another one of those early game champion weapons, right? So yeah, it's good. Some enemies get wiped out straight away, but you're not going to be using it in combat. Don't bother using the pistol in combat. It gets outpaced by basically every melee weapon, but it does have a lot of use on the field to take out certain enemies. You can take them out. It's just going to be C tier. I'm going to put it above the Bayonet because Bayonet is two-handed and with all the limitations of that, and it's RNG, but you can get shitloads of pistols. So let's just do all the guns now, actually, while we're here. Rifle, very nice. Because the rifle can de-limb enemies, worth its weight in gold. Like Deathmask, you can blow off their limbs before you even get into fight, which is just insane, right? So I'm going to put it in A tier just for that, because it makes fights just so much easier, just insanely easier. I don't think there's any issues to it, really. The only, it's only the same sort of issues as guns. Really, is just you need ammo for it. I think you need two arms to carry it, I believe. So which is a bit annoying, but not really the end of the world. And shotgun, I'm gonna put it below rifle. I'm gonna bump it down even more, actually. I don't like it very much. It deals nice damage, but on the field, and apparently on the field, it has a chance to instantly kill enemies, but I've never had it sort of do that. And the ammo for the shotgun is so low. But it does have the added benefit of just shitting out damage, even in combat. So this is the only gun I would probably use in combat because it just has such high damage. So I'm going to put it on a high B tier. With skills, it's different. You can get a 2-shot kill on the field with any enemy with skills, but that's if you're investing in Levi's skills, and it's like, I don't really care. Great for cheesing Chugner. Yeah, like all the guns are really good for dealing with enemies that you don't want to actually fight. So they all have their place, but yeah, just sort of comparing them to other things it's in combat and in the world, it's like, eh. Okay, Red Virtue. Now this might actually be the best weapon in the game. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Red Virtue is the best weapon you can get. It's got one of the highest attacks, not the highest, but one of the highest. It hits twice, so it deals 50 attack and it attacks twice, so that's 100 damage in a single hit. Has a higher than average crit rate. It's got 20% crit. But if you consider everything, it's a pain to get. It's probably the worst weapon to actually get, right? Because you got to go to the church, you've got to draw the rare sigil, which means you're not getting the other sigils. You've got to beat Moonless first, true. So you had to sneak into the church the back way, beat Moonless, use the rare sigil, and then fight Heartless One. And you do get like the best weapon in the game, and you get good armor too, but it's like, it's a pain to get. It's such a pain to get. It's just straight up the best damage in the game, like by far. So you don't need it though. So that's the thing, right? I beat the game with a mallet and 3 ghouls. Like, you just don't need Red Virtue. The game isn't hard enough. There's no enemy that makes you need Red Virtue unless you're doing like a drug addict solo, complete solo, no hexen run, right? So it's like, I don't know. There needs to be like a super boss added. Or this drops from the super boss. So I don't know. I don't think it's good, but it's not like it's you don't need it, and it's such a pain to get. So I'm not gonna put it on the top, right? The tippy top. Just for that. Blacksteel might end up being my favorite weapon in the game, actually. Okay, so we have what's it called? Scalpel. The scalpel. It's like, it's D tier. It's better than a knife. I think it's a lot better than a knife, actually. Yeah. It's good if you're Dan because it'll carry you through the start of the game. But then, by the time you reach mid-game and you start getting like the mallets and stuff, the mallets are just better. Circle Spear is very good. It has a lot of damage. It does 72 attack. And it's really easy to get now, too. It used to be way harder. Because now it's really easy to cut off Circle's arm in the initial fight, so you can get a guaranteed Circle Spear really quickly. The problem is it has the same downside of all two-handed weapons. But because the damage is so high, I'm going to put it on low S tier. Because you can really easily cut off Circle's arm. Just have everybody in your party attack Circle's the same arm in the first couple turns, and you've got a free Circle Spear. What do we got? The sickle is, again, like, this is just D tier as well, isn't it, right? It's definitely better than the knife. And so you'll probably be using this because you can get it guaranteed from the villagers, but you're going to change it as soon as possible. So the pipe is a bit better, a little bit better, but again, it's still like really low. Officer's Sword is really nice. So it's probably, some people start with a guaranteed, but again, it's like random drop. So it can actually be tricky to get, but it's a good mid-game weapon. But when you start as a Bella, right, you can start with this, and then that lets you craft a weapon called Sandman's Kiss, I believe. Yeah. And Sandman's Kiss is a bit more damage, but it's also got guaranteed poison, and it's one-handed, which is really nice. So I really like Sandman's Kiss. Don't know if I'd put it in S tier, but I'll definitely put it at the top of A. I reckon it's really good. It's difficult to get if you don't start as a Bella, is one of the issues. You know what? I might just shuffle this around like this. I think that's good. If you start as a Bella, right, you can start with the Officer's Sword, and then you can get, all you need is a couple bit more pieces of, I think you just need some scrap, right? And then you can kill Needles really easily at the start with a Bella because of her wrench toss stun. And then you can craft a Sandman's Kiss in the first 5 minutes of the game. And you've got a fantastic weapon as an alternate to your wrench that'll last you for a while. I'm gonna bump Circle Spear up because it's basically guaranteed. Despite its downsides, it's way easier to get than these two, isn't it? Okay, Reaper's Rake. It's really bad for how much investment it needs. And it's two-handed. I don't like this at all. It looks cool, but I don't like that at all. I'm going to put it here. Actually, I'm going to put it below the wrench, to be honest, because the two-handed and the fact it's only got a little bit more damage than the wrench, it's like, man, it's just not worth it. I'm putting it above Officer's Sword because you can get it, you can guarantee this. You can never guarantee an Officer's Sword unless you're like a Bella, or I think it's Osaka in Star Wars 1. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna bump it down to C, just because it costs so much to get, and it's just sort of it's not very good. It does look cool, which sucks. It really looks cool, but it just sucks. So for that investment, you would want like guaranteed bleed or something like that, right? It needs a buff, I think, for that cost. I think it's really weak. And the final weapon, so this one requires probably the most investment in the game to get. Because you need to beat Sulfur Ending to get this weapon, Longinus, and it unlocks the spell in your Hexen after that, and then you can unlock it from Ulmir's spell tree. The upside is it has really high attack, and it does otherworldly damage, and you can use it whenever because it's just a spell, so you don't need to find it. You can just get it; it's guaranteed. The issue is it's two-handed, so some characters can't use it. So I'm thinking this is actually going to be pretty low to be at TBH because of the investment. It looks cool. It looks really cool, actually. But I think it needs a buff a bit. It does do a lot of damage though. 60 damage is pretty good guaranteed, isn't it? I'm gonna put it here. Let's just go back over this, right? And you know, when you've got this many weapons, it's pretty easy to like mess up the balance a little bit. I think all the ones in D tier are fine. Maybe the spear, just a smidge of a buff. These ones, I'd buff the bayonet, Sabbath, and rake. I wouldn't leave the pistol. I think the place of the pistol is fine because it is meant to be a basic, really simple gun, and you can use it in combat because pistol ammo is more common. But I probably wouldn't buff pistol to be honest. I think it fills its spot nicely. I would definitely buff Longinus. Maybe a little buff to this. I think these are fine for the most part because, you know, it's like you still have to consider like what weapons do people start with, what can they find easily. You can easily find a pipe wrench, right? So that's not a big deal for it to be not very good. And you get a guaranteed axe, so it's okay that it gets outpaced later. Rake needs a massive buff. I think I would give these a smidge of a buff, just a smidge. And these are all fine. I would like another single one-handed weapon that's like top tier is what I would like. If you buffed Sandman's Kiss plus made it more expensive to compensate to get one more top tier, I think that would be good. But you know, Miro's adding more content coming up, right? Like we've got a new area coming up in the next month or so. You know, who knows what weapons we'll get? We'll have to revise the list, won't we? And what do you guys think? Did I fuck anything up? What do you reckon? Is this a good list or is this a bad list? Black Steel low S tier, huh? Seems a little high. Yeah, it did end up a lot higher than I expected, didn't it?